Hey y'all, I hope you're having a good day. So I want to talk to you about something that you may or may not be guilty of. It's called regret. So I will never forget, and it's just embedded in my mind. Probably over 20 years ago, my mother-in-law was sitting with me at the table, and she asked me a question that she truly knew the answer that I should have given, and she because she knew some things about me that no mother-in-law should know about me. But she said, "Is there anything in your life that you regret?" And so I quickly responded, very arrogantly, tone said, "No, there's nothing I regret." And I proceeded to say how I don't regret it because I learned from my mistakes and whatever happened in life, and I went on and I listed things that I learned about trust and lying and all kind of things. Well, then later in life, and I get teared up thinking about how I never got a chance to go back and admit that I believe that I was wrong to my mother-in-law because she ended up leaving this world too soon. But I do have so many regrets in my life. But here's the way I've got to look at it. I regret things. Did I learn from them? Absolutely, I learned from them. But I think about how many of those choices that Stephanie made in her life, that I wanted to do what Stephanie wanted to do and not what God wanted me to do, how many blessings that I missed out on. Now, I am a totally blessed chick. I absolutely know that. But I think about all those blessings that I missed out on because I chose to do things my way. I've had some recent conversations with different age folks, and this conversation about regret definitely came up in our conversations. So this week, 2 of my Bible verses back to back, my morning that I do the BibleGateway.com app, this was the first verse that came up. It's from Psalms 119:33. "I will never forget your commands because through them you gave me new life." So I think about that one and I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus, for the new life you gave me as a Christian. But then even all those stupid things that I did in my life that I truly regret making, thank you for your forgiveness and your grace and your love and your mercies that are new every morning, that you give me new life every day. Because, being a Christian, you're not perfect still. There was only one perfect person, and you're not going to be perfect and make no mistakes till you get to heaven. So that'll be a wonderful blessing to go to. But I think about in the Bible, I believe it's right after we read the Lord's Prayer, it talks about forgiveness. And so I brought that up in conversation with my friends and people that I spoke with this week, and how not only do you have to really forgive yourself, but you have to, and others, you have to make sure you do a balance of that. And you have to confess this, because in the Bible it says that if you don't forgive others, you're not going to be forgiven. And I know that I do stuff all the time, whether it's a thought, it doesn't even have to be any big sin that people see, whether it's a look or something I say or the way that I even say it. I need to be forgiven, because those things, once they're done, you can't take back. And that's going to lead me to a Bible verse, and I'm going to talk about it at the very end of this video as well. But because there was an illustration in the Bible that exactly that happened. This person did something he totally regretted, and he tried to take it back, and it's too late. So you can't take it back. Well, then the other verse on the very next day says, from Matthew 5:14 and 16, "You are the light that shines for the world to see. You are like a city built on a hill that cannot be hidden. In the same way, you should be the light for other people. Live so that they will see the good things you do and praise your Father in heaven." Because in this one conversation, this person was telling me things that they've just been doing, and it feels like, whenever you're sinning, you just keep digging deeper down, and you're just, seems like you can never get back up to the top, and you just keep going down. And then sometimes you have that mentality of, well, I've already done this in my life. I've already been bad. I might as well keep on being bad. That's not the way that we should look at that, because of those new mercies and the forgiveness and the love that I mentioned a while ago that Jesus gives us. When you are deep down in that pit, crawling out yourself, you're gonna reach up and you're gonna slide back down. So what you gotta do is you just gotta reach up and call out to God. Because you know what? He's 24/7. And all he wants us to do is to call on him. Lord, help me out of this pit, because I can't do it on my own. And then what happens, y'all, when you are out of that pit, when you are knowing that what I have done, whatever it is, it might be just something little, that secret sin, like I talked about in the thought and stuff, that people just don't even notice, or it could be that big sin that people absolutely can see. But to God, a sin is a sin. It doesn't matter what it is. God just wants you to say, help me, Lord. I cannot do this on my own. And you got to know that all things are possible with God. All things are possible. Sure, you can get out of that pit, but you have to have God. Remember that the continuation of the verse. All things are possible with God. So you've got to have God, and he is on your side. He's just waiting on you to call out to him. There's a song that I heard the other day too, and God just put that song in my little tunes or whatever I was listening to at the right time, because he knew that I had spoken with people in conversation, and he knew I was going to be speaking with more people in this conversation. But it's a song by 10th Avenue North. I think it's North. And it's talking about regret. So, and I'll post the video portion of the song on the Soaking Up the Sun website. But these lyrics, let me just give you a snippet of these lyrics. It says, when the past comes to haunt me, it tells me what I've done. It reminds me what's gone wrong when my sins are laid before me. My Lord, you take them on. And so if I fall and if I fail, I will trust your mercy is greater than all of this. And if I bend and if I break, I trust the hands that hold me are greater than all of my regrets. You, God, are greater than all of my regrets. And then another little verse, it says, Father, I know I break your heart when I choose my way, when I doubt your love, but you take me as I am. A child, you whisper in my ear, let's get up and let's try it again. Because, we think about, we're breaking his heart, and we don't want to break his heart. We want our heart to break for what breaks his, so we can go out there and have compassion and empathy for other people and for self. But God is going to take you, as those lyrics said, you take me as I am. No matter, y'all, what you have done in your life, no matter what you've done in your life, how full of muck and mud you think you are, Jesus is going to take you just as you are, because he is greater than all and any of your regrets. Now, I want to end it here. I say end it, but I'll probably think of something else because something just popped in my head. But in Matthew 27, 3-5, and this is from the Message translation. This is about Judas. This is the verse I was mentioning earlier about somebody that regretted doing something. It says, Judas, the one who betrayed him, realized that Jesus was doomed. Overcome with remorse. Have you been there? Are you there? He says he was overcome with remorse. He gave back those 30 silver coins to the high priest, saying, I've sinned. I've betrayed an innocent man. They said, what do we care? That's your problem. Judas threw the silver coins into the temple and he left. But when he left, y'all, he went and made a bad choice. He was filled with so much regret. he ended up hanging himself. Don't do that. No, reach out to him and let all that regret and remorse already be hung on the cross that Jesus died for you and me. In my study Bible, underneath that verse, the commentary said, many of the plans that we set into motion cannot be reversed. It is best to think of the potential consequences before we launch into action. We may later regret. So before you say, before you do anything, before you have a certain look in your face, think about the consequences. Because the things that we do in our life, remember, it doesn't only affect you, it affects others around you. Probably those closest to you as well. So think before you say and before you do. Think about what's going to really happen in the long run. Now, you go and you do stuff like this and you're sharing Jesus, that is all good. There's nothing but good consequences. But whenever you go and you just keep sinning and sinning and sinning and doing things that are not right, there's a price to pay. And it's not only going to be paid by you. But you got to remember that Jesus has paid the greatest price. So just trust in him. Follow him. Don't live with all the regrets. And here's the other thought that popped in my mind a while ago. When I was having a conversation with one of these people, they said that I can forgive the person, but I can't forget it. And that's totally understandable. The good thing is God forgives and forgets, wipes that slate clean. We keep going back to him. I find myself doing this. You keep going back to him saying, God, please forgive me for that. And he's like, what you talking about? Because he's already forgiven us. But we keep going back in our mind. So I told this person this, I think that we don't forget a lot of the things that we did or have had done to us in our lives. Maybe because we need to be able to look and say, thank God that I'm not there anymore. Thank you that I'm either not with that person in that relationship. Thank you that I stopped doing what I'm doing. And remember when I read to you from Matthew 5:14 and 16 about being a light? I told this other person that if you go and you just surrender to Jesus, you just lay it all down saying, God, I need you. Admit that you need Jesus. And just give your life to him and just start living for him and not for yourself. When you do that, you just may lose some friends, and that's okay. I've lost some friends in my life and or some friendships that because I chose to do another way. And it's totally okay. But years later, these people, they see the choices that I've made, and some people kind of come knocking at my door, and talk to me about some stuff because they want to know what it is I have. Why do I have so much joy in my life? So I'm able to share it. I'm able to be that light. Just maybe whenever you do surrender yourself and you get out of that pit because you've asked Jesus to help you, all those friends, if they don't appreciate what you're doing, you really don't need them in your life anyhow. You don't need them in your life. But maybe, what if just one sees that light in you and the difference in you that Jesus has made, and they come to know Christ? Because that's what Jesus wants us to do anyhow. He wants us to go and share the good news because he doesn't want anybody going to hell. He wants us all to go to heaven. So don't go out there and be judgmental of people in the world that have done wrong, and maybe their sin is bigger than your sin because you got it in your life. Go out there and be the light. Be the light. Give forgiveness, love, mercy, because he did and we should. So, regrets in life? Absolutely. Janie, if you can hear me from heaven, yes, there's things in my life that I regret. Have I become a stronger person? Yes, I have. But I know that I've got my new life in Jesus Christ that he just talks about in those verses. So y'all think about that. And I believe that you know someone that needs to hear this. So send it to them. Send it to them privately. I don't care. Public, whatever. Somebody needs to hear this word, because it's what God gave it to me. To me, from Him to you. Have a beautiful day. I love you, but above all, Jesus loves you. Take care.